Morning. Last lesson for this unit, Unit 3, Statistical Studies. We have good things today. Just finished the weekend, and tonight we have the BCS Championship game. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the Tigers are going to win. So, let's go. That's spelled with an E-A-U-X if you want to know who I want to win. Bias in experimentation. Statistical bias in experimental studies can result from several factors. Now let's think back about the past lessons about statistical bias and see which sources you think could apply to experimental studies. Let's think about this for a second. We talked about how the researcher could have a foregone conclusion and omit and do stuff like that. Or maybe someone in the control group that doesn't know they're in a control group, or getting the treatment that's actually not a treatment. It's got inactive ingredients, and they believe that they want to get better, so that they believe that it's actually helping them. So those are some ways. Placebo effect, a non-representative sample, and poor data collection procedures. See what I mean? Those are the kind of things that create bias in experimentation. So what are some reasons for deliberately using non-representative samples in experimental studies, and what problems could result? Well, here we go. There's a big answer to this, but it makes a lot of sense. Studies on humans use volunteers. It's not possible to take a random sample of the population of interest and force them to participate. Just the fact that their participants have a condition for which a treatment is to be tested implies that there's something special about them. For example, smokers may be more likely to have health issues beyond those clearly related to smoking that non-smokers do not have. And they may not eat as well or exercise as much as non-smokers, so using smokers in a dietary study may result in a bias that cannot be removed without or with statistical analysis. Now, rather than spending a great deal of time and money to ensure a representative sample, researchers often use different techniques to try to eliminate any statistical bias introduced by the sampling method used. Let's look at each method and determine how the method can reduce sampling method bias and increase the accuracy of a study's results. Random assignment of treatments. And how can that reduce sampling method bias and increase the accuracy of the results? Okay, the approach helps ensure that the treatment group and the control group are similar. No. And different outcomes are detected. If different outcomes are detected, researchers can be more confident that this is due to treatment, not to differences in the participants. How about blind and double-blind studies? We can say that sometimes participants inaccurately report improvement, placebo effect. Likewise, researchers sometimes subconsciously try harder to find improvement in treatment group participants versus control group participants, possibly because of a foregone conclusion. Conducting the study blind or preferably double-blind can ensure more accurate reports. Use of control groups. And this approach is related to the first two we just discussed, and they work together to improve result accuracy. Randomly assigning participants to receive a fake treatment help control the placebo effect, hence the name control group. Replication. All right, if a study is run again with a new sample, for example, a larger population, different ethnic group, or different gender, and still yields similar results, the researchers can feel more confident that their treatment is working. So some of the same issues, non-representative samples, undercoverage, and replication, affect observational studies. Other issues discussed, response bias and wording of questions, can also specifically affect these studies. What problem could be occurring in each study described? All right, in this particular example, Jade is so tired of sales calls, she refuses to answer the phone if she doesn't recognize the name or number on her caller ID. This is a common situation and can result in a poor sample due to response bias or being a non-representative sample. Serena knows the caller will probably keep calling, so she answers the phone. And if the call subject is an opinion poll, she politely tells the surveyor that she does not want to participate. This is an example of non-response in the sample obtained. Deshaun does not worry about the sales call since his family uses cell phones and no longer has a landline. Now, this situation is all becoming more common, but now even cell phones are getting those sales calls too. Households that don't have landlines and thus are unable to be surveyed by telephone companies or telephone survey companies may cause undercoverage in samples. At the mall, an older man is interviewing people about their consumer spending habits. Maria thinks he's creepy and doesn't want to tell him she just bought a swimsuit, so she says her shopping bag contains a new shirt. This is response bias in the sample. Mrs. Gibbs normally gets a hamburger for lunch, and she notices someone who looks like a nurse sitting in the corner writing down what each person is ordering. So she orders a salad with fat-free dressing. This is called observer effect. She acts differently because she realizes she's being observed. This could also be a form of response bias. The local television station runs a viewer poll on the nightly news. Call us or log in to our website to give your opinion about the new skate park. This approach is not really a research study and it's not scientifically valid, but it is strictly voluntary, and generally only people with a really strong opinion, and possibly only those with a really strong opinion in one direction, call or log on, which exemplifies response bias. Well, not mentioned here is some people don't have the internet, so they couldn't log on, and some people don't even watch the news, and even though it might be important to them, they might even not know about it. So several television shows have a survey component in which viewers call and vote for their favorite singer, dancer, entertainer, and competitor. What issues can be caused by this method? Well, there could be differences between the people who watch these shows and the people who do not, so the winner may not reflect the preferences of the entire country. Some people vote for a particular contestant based on different criteria than the ones intended. For example, respondents may like a contestant's clothes when they're supposed to vote for his or her singing ability. That happens all the time, especially in American Idol when it was real popular. One respondent votes according to how the contestants did on one specific show, while another votes according to the contestant's overall performance on the past month's worth of shows. And some vote more than once, and some vote when they haven't even watched the show. All right, several shows have viewers. What issues can be caused by this method? Many of the same issues exist. Some shows have viewers vote for the contestants and they want to leave the show. And the issues that come up here is that many have the same issues as the last example, but in addition, some viewers vote strategically. Rather than voting for the worst contestant to leave, they'll vote to eliminate the person who they perceive as the strongest competition to benefit their favorite. Wow. Where in the research cycle do you believe statistical bias is likely to occur? Is it in the question, design, collect, analyze, or report? What are some strategies to avoid bias and to minimize variability in your project? All right, statistical bias can occur through the design of the study if the questions are worded in a fashion that leads the participants' answers. Make sure you design the questions that don't lead, and you can remove that possibility. And it could occur because the researcher's foregone conclusion compels them to alter, omit, or even add collected data. If we do a double-blind study, that removes that problem. And then it could be a mistaken means to analyze the data that is collected. We're going to make sure we have good quality assurance when we collect our data. And it could be a reporting error made by the analyst in the research study. We just have to double-check our work before we actually study it. So I'll launch you with this. Now that we're coming up on the BCS game tonight, I just want to make a prediction about the championship game, and I believe that the Tigers are going to win. And I think you can see which Tigers I believe just by looking at the memes I posted here. In the meantime, don't forget there's an assignment you have to do in the Google Classroom for this assignment by the same name. Otherwise, be blessed and be a blessing.